I just wanted to ask you quickly about, and you mentioned the Occupy Homes movement here in Minneapolis today, which has been, a big success and something of a catalyst nationwide. Most people, when they think of the Occupy movement, they think of the scenes from New York, from Zuccotti Park, and that's supposed to have been the most visible one. But what do you think the Occupy Homes movement means within the context of the larger Occupy movement?
I think it's very important because it's people going beyond parks, but going to save homes. And we have such a crisis of poverty in this country now. The ever-growing divide between rich and poor. The newest budget that's been laid out is, you hear this big whooshing sound from the bottom to the top once again. And the anti-foreclosure movement is critical because how many of these homes have been wrongly foreclosed? You have the problem of just people becoming impoverished, but then the fraud involved. So you have these banks and other institutions getting a slap on the wrist, but you have people's whole lives are destroyed. You have communities that are ripped apart. The repercussions of homes being foreclosed affect us all. And the idea that people from Occupy Minnesota are going out to homes and saving them, I think that brings together people across the political spectrum because everyone is concerned about what's happening now.
Any guesses as to how Occupy will manifest itself between now and the election, now that it's spring out again?
Spring matters. It's when a lot of movements are formed and grow and burgeon and blossom. I don't think we can say what form it will take, all the different forms that it will take, but people are galvanized across this country.
I wanted to ask briefly about your coverage personally and then of Democracy Now! of the Arab Spring, of what was happening in Egypt and Libya. Your coverage of Libya, of Gaddafi, of our reason to go in. What do you think?
Well, first of all, Sharif Abdel-Quddus, Hani Massoud, our producers and reporters in Egypt, did an amazing job capturing the voices of people at the grassroots. The girl putting out a high school student putting out a broadsheet, Voices of Tahrir. Great Egyptian feminist Nawal Saadawi, 79 years old, had been imprisoned, had been exiled, and there she was in Tahrir. And you got to meet them all through Sharif's amazing reporting. In Libya, we're continuing to see the fallout from Libya. With the intervention, so many people now have died in Syria. And the reason that Russia cited for not signing on earlier to some kind of resolution around dealing with Syria is because they felt betrayed around Libya, that they had signed on to a no-fly zone. They said they did not think this meant full military intervention, which it ultimately was. And what happens in Libya is still not determined. It is a country fraught with violence that is divided. These are all countries we must continue to cover, and including Bahrain, which gets almost no attention because here you have this U.S.-supported monarchy that is cracking down on protesters. Doctors and nurses that treat the protesters are now going on trial again. And we have to cover it all.
Thanks so much, Amy.
Thank you, and thanks for the uptake.